The cloud is a technologically generated electromagnetic field. Created in collaboration between Bill Gates and DARPA, the cloud has the ability to alter and influence thought through frequency, controlling mind and perception. This is called biocoding, or as I like to call it, biohacking. Already developed and in effect, biocoding sends coding signals to graphene oxide using the terahertz frequency. Terahertz is a sub-millimeter radiation wave. It connects and communicates with graphene oxide, found in most human bodies today due to an absorbent amount of chemtrail poisoning and other means of intoxication. Graphene oxide is able to enter into the brain through what's called leaky brain. Leaky brain occurs when exposed to the 2.4 Wi-Fi frequency. There are various articles and studies published on this discovery. Graphene oxide, being a superconductor of electricity, scrambles the way people process information. The communication between graphene oxide and terahertz frequency implants and influences thought on individuals and/or groups of people. The controller of the cloud technology can operate this technology from the other side of the planet using Wi-Fi. 5G cell phone towers and Wi-Fi are modalities used to bridge humanity to the cloud. The cloud is meant to communicate to the nanotechnology self-replicating systems and become the human mind, which is what many are calling the AI hive mind. This technology can also send out frequencies, triggering and generating potential virus-like symptoms. Below, I link a video of Dr. Charles Morgan from the CIA teaching the military how to program and manipulate thought.
At first, she had to walk on the treadmill to keep the robot walking that she could observe on the computer screen, and then she just stopped walking, and it would run the robot in Japan. So you can have a brain here in the United States, plugged in, running a robotic device, a mechanical device, via the internet somewhere else in the world. So that was pretty cool. It also has some fun implications. If you see now, where do you imagine this going when you think of it as an offensive or defensive opportunity with respect to the intelligence community? The natural segue then would be, if I can send motor function from a brain to a mechanical arm, is it possible to send motor functions from one human to another human?
Now, do you know the phrase brain power? Well, it turns out that scientists at the University of Washington are trying to hone that power and transmit it to another brain. Researchers call it direct brain-to-brain communication, and they do it by passing a signal from one mind to the next, using the internet nonetheless. So does it sound a little sci-fi, Star Trek mind meld, Jedi mind trick Inception-esque to you? Well, it did to me too. So I brought one of the researchers onto the show to tell me how it works. Dr. Andrea Stocco is an assistant research professor at the University of Washington, and he told me why this concept is not as weird as it sounds.
It's not so science fiction. We use currently existing technologies to read the brain patterns in a person and to transmit them to a different person. And we can only do it with very simple impulses right now, like muscle commands, can control the hand, for instance. So it's not that science fiction. It was definitely possible years ago. It's just that we were the first to try it.
Can you actually send and receive sensory information, like the Matrix? I'll show you a little bit of this experiment. The short answer is yes.
So when the animal gets the light and is about to press the lever, we record the activity, electrical activity from lots of cells in the motor cortex of this animal and instantaneously transmit this information through the brain of a second animal that is in another box and cannot see the light and cannot see what the first animal is doing. This is the decoder, and he's receiving this information through very tiny little pulses of electrical activity that are delivered to the homologous part of the brain that the encoder is using to solve the task. So as the decoder gets this information and basically decodes the brain pattern originated in the encoder's brain, it responds to us behaviorally by pressing one or the other lever to tell us that he got it right or not.
So think about it for a moment. You can create a designer receptor, you can create a cell, you can put it somewhere in the body, and you can remotely activate it when the brain's exposed to the right signal. Using this technology, people have been able to transfer memories from one fruit fly to another by signaling through a light stimulus into the retina. Right now, in most animals, it's done by putting a substance into their body that will actually activate the neuron in the way that you want it. So you have the capacity to create any product. As long as you know the DNA sequence, you can insert it into a living system, and you can remotely control it. That he could train the mice to run the maze, document the number of trials and errors, and then flood their hippocampus or expose it to this, and the memory would be completely gone. Meaning when the rats or the mice had to learn it over again, it was the same number of learning trials. And there was no trace of the memory left. So think about it. If you change the past, you change human behavior. We are a case-based reasoning animal. When we think about what we're going to do, we think about the last time we did something, or what we heard about, or what we think it would have done. So to change human motivation, we don't have to persuade people. You can just change their memory. And the last thing I'll say, I didn't have any videos for it. I really wanted to show you one, but the French have published a very interesting paper, and it is this. In people who were asleep, they were able to tell what people knew around word recognition lists without ever waking the person up. They were also able to train new memory and information outside the person's awareness while they were asleep. Where that technology can go is some very interesting places. The reason why DARPA got approval for 500 deep brain implants, I think the next step is going to be a hive brain. It's already been done in rats. You can link multiple brains, and as a hive, they solve problems much faster than the individual rat. So that technology's here. I'm assuming they'll link people who've given permission to link their brains to have a productive life, live in virtual reality, move robotic things that can probably problem solve. So I think in the next few years, that's what we'll see, is brain-to-brain linking.
With all this being said, I must now address this from a holistic perspective. Beings have their own toroidal electromagnetic field, emanating from a central axis, creating an auric field. If this auric field is strong enough, it can shield one from such devious attacks. However, if the auric field is weakened and has holes in it, one can and is often taken over by spirits, entities, and frequencies unconsciously. Diet, lifestyle, promiscuity also play a role in determining the strength of the auric field. Vedic body disciplines teach one how to strengthen the central axis and electromagnetic field. I'm writing a practical application-based book on how to do just this. It will be out later this year. It will also be expanding on another determining factor of protection: connection and deepening in union with divinity, moving in faith and full trust in divinity while following its natural laws. May you be blessed and supported in these times of transition.